What's up and welcome to the American Gods After Show. We're talking episode 5, The Ways of the Dead. Things get deep. We have some mystery, some possession, and maybe we're possessed here that we might have a god in the studio. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, welcome to the American Gods After Show. Talking episode 5, The Ways of the Dead. And we have new media here. Woo!
I'm here.
Yay!
Yay!
See, your prayers worked. You worshipped on your devices and electronics.
Yep.
And welcome Kahyun Kim.
Hi.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And first of all, we're going to be talking about this episode.
Yes.
But let's get a little bit about you. How did you get involved? I mean, there's the standard my agent sent me or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But was there any sort of, you had heard about the book or anything like that? Or what was your process?
Yeah, I definitely watched the show. I definitely watched season 1, so I knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a big fan of the show.
Nice.
And so it was really exciting to get the audition and audition for it. And, I'm a geek, so.
Nice. Yay.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I heard about it before I auditioned for it.
What kind of geek? Technology, comic books, video games?
I'm a big video game geek.
Nice.
And I also love reading books,
Cool.
mostly in Korean, but
Cool.
still reading books.
You had mentioned before, English is actually a second language for you.
It is my second language. Yes.
So what is that like acting on a show? And is there ever hold on and...
Yeah, I mean, now it's kind of, I've been living in America for
Right.
a while, I just got my green card, so
Yay,
that's exciting.
congrats.
Thank you. So I'm getting more used to it, but it definitely took me lines get it's really important to me to be really memorized before and really understand what I'm saying, backwards and forwards. So that's one thing that I do work on more than other people, and enunciation is a big thing for me too. So
This show is a lot about immigrants because it's even the gods themselves are. So then what is it like being an immigrant on a show that kind of deals with that?
I love it. I mean, it's a lot of I think that's why I enjoyed first season so much. I mean, I told this to Orlando billions of times, but his speech in the, his first speech, I mean, I rewatched that scene so many times because it was so impactful. And even though I'm not necessarily African American, I know what it is to go from a country to a different, to America. I mean, I am first generation and I moved here, a teenage, for college. So I kind of really, understood what that kind of was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Totally.
it's really exciting.
Now, as new media, what is it like to be this bubbly, over-the-top, crazy energy character for you?
It's really fun because I think I'm bubbly in life.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. But it's also I mean, as the character develops more, I think there's a lot more sides of new media you will see, I think her introduction was definitely she's new and she's young, and then she's exciting, and that's why I think it was more of the bubbly was played up. But I think definitely because new media itself in the real world is such a, you don't know what's going to happen. It's very everywhere. It's a very new thing. It's a very modern thing that people still don't have experts on. So I think there's so many possibilities with the character.
Well, even technology and media constantly change, and almost those are interwoven.
Yeah.
That some
100%.
people on our previous video had kind of said, well, even how the emojis are used, when you guys filmed it, maybe that's not as current now, which is crazy of just up with the times.
So fast.
Yes.
We there were a couple of K-pop songs that will come up, and we talked about, and I was like, when the show comes out, there's going to be a new song that's going to be hot, so it's just fast.
So wait, K-pop, are you a BTS fan?
I am more old school. I love BTS. They're very, very cute, but I'm old school,
21.
21, grew up with 21, grew up with Big Bang.
Yes.
Big Bang.
Yes.
Grew up with Boa. Boa was like my girl when I was young. So, yeah.
Nice. We do have a live chat. I know we're at a slightly different time today, so thank you for everybody who are joining us in the live chat. Bemused in the chat says, hello, new media. So
Hello, everyone.
And if you're watching this later, please comment down below. Thank you so much for all your thoughts on our previous videos of what goes down the episode, because they're definitely meaty episodes. Always, like every episode is just like there's a lot going on.
100%.
And while we were watching it beforehand, she's like, "Oh man, this episode has so much going on.
I can't stop watching it."
And Bobo unfortunately was not able to make it, but I'm like, "Oh, we'll have to get his perspective next time, because this one also dealt so much with race,
100%.
and we talked about that last week as well, which was great to get into a little bit. But it's one of those. It's definitely a long discussion, but."
Right.
Speaking of that, we'll dive into this episode.
I love it.
But not race-related, and kind of the quicker storyline. We have Mad Sweeney and Laura. So do you ship Mad Sweeney and Laura?
So much.
Yeah,
so much.
Right? There's just these people that you just kind of hate each other. They're just horrible people, and you're like, yes, but I kind of want them together.
Toxic.
Yes.
So dysfunctional. I love it.
But it makes for great television, right? We're just like, please get together. So they're in New Orleans, which was really fun to watch. I liked how they have this kind of mystery there, and we meet essentially death. Both deaths, which I like, as Sweeney puts it. We have our Baron Samedi and Bridget. What did you think of those people? I thought they were rather interesting characters.
Oh, 100%. Like the voodoo aspect and like, very New Orleans, very that whole scene, the dancing sequence.
Yes.
Like, I loved it.
It was very like lure you in and intoxicating.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
You're just pulled into it. Yeah. Bemused says this episode is meaty in a different way. Ahem. Yes. We talked about the sexy stuff, which we'll get to that in a minute. But it does make it interesting, on the show, how they cover those, which we'll get to that in a moment. So Laura, I'd also like when she kind of has to suffer of her having to wait till after hours for the thing, and just,
right.
She's just kind of a brat that we're like, you're going to have to wait. She's like, oh, I guess so. That's your price. Then we have, I do like that Sweeney is still so serious about like, get to business. I want my coin back. And they're just having fun with her. How much do you like watching her and him kind of squirm because they both are not getting what they want?
I love it. I mean, it's also like Pablo brings such a like different energy from what Emily brings to like, Dead Wife, and like, so it's like just their dynamic. It's just so fun to watch, Now,
you're not necessarily in scenes with them yet. Might be later. We don't know. How often do you get to interact with them, or is there cast hangouts, or how's that go down?
Yeah, we hang out a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like I really, really love this cast so much. Everybody has been so welcoming, and especially for somebody who's joining in second season, it's always like tentative because there's already an established relationship between people. But everybody's so nice. Like Pablo came to see my show in New York when I was doing the play, and like and Orlando and Bruce. They all came and like supported, so
she's
really
like, I know them. We're first name basis. Totally chill. No, but that's awesome. Of a cast, they've already been together for a season, and now literally new media, new person coming in and joining. Yeah. So wait though, did you and Technical Boy butt heads at all? Because apparently, but your characters do.
In real life.
In real life.
No, not actually. Like he's like, I would have to say he's like my closest friend on the show, because we're so similar in age and we have so many scenes together, and like Bruce is just like such a generous person and a generous actor, and he's just fun to be around. So
is that fun then as friends to be like fake fights, essentially?
100%.
Okay.
It's so fun. Yeah. I think the more the fight, the better.
Nice. I would think so, because it's like when people who are really nice and they play the villain and they're like, it's really fun, and it's like a different kind of persona you get to put on.
Right.
Yeah, because the last one of new media taunting him like the whole episode.
I loved. That was like one of my favorite scenes, because it was just so fun to be like, to kind of like, because she is also figuring out what is happening with her. Like, I don't think she actually knows like what her power and what her strength is. And also, but she is aware that she's ahead of everybody in a weird way, but also is not sure what she can do yet, like her possibilities.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to like play with Bruce and play with Technical Boy and be like, oh, like, but what do you know about it? Like, what do you know about like the old god dying? Oh, because I'm stupid. I don't really know, but what you can tell me? What can you tell me? You know? So stuff like that was really fun to play with him.
Well, it's interesting because as you were saying, new media, like learning her abilities and how she starts off so almost you would think ditzy, but not really, because the last episode, it seemed like she knew what was going on and offered Technological Boy like, hey, we could work together, but he's a little snot that said no.
100%. God, it's his fault.
Right? We tried.
Oh, we tried.
It's like we tried to help him. No. Now, actually, semi-rewind on that from a previous scene, and we had mentioned the sexy stuff. You get your scene with Argus, and I bet people are kind of wondering on that. Because visually, it's unique because you don't actually see anything. But what is insinuated is, whoa, oh my goodness. But you don't actually see it, but it's still such a powerful scene. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, it was interesting how to hear how people reacted to that scene, because for me it was such an empowering scene for my character and as an actor, because we were definitely aware of like what it wasn't like, oh, we have no idea. And also like as an Asian actor doing that was definitely a conversation we all had. But for me, it was very important because it was very important that I was taking charge. It was me who wanted it. I wanted the power. It was me using him. It was not the Argus initiating. It was me telling Tech Boy, I will like handle the business and I will get what I want. So for me, it was very empowering and very a powerful moment of like kind of new media taking charge of being like, this is what I want and I'm going to get it and I'll do anything to get what I want. So, yeah, I mean, but it is also it's a conversation that people, put on because I think having an Asian actor be in a sexual situation is, people think it's stereotype or whatever, but I didn't see it that way personally and I don't think anybody wanted to, was aiming for that. I think it was a very deliberate choice that we made, that I was like, this is empowering and this is her taking power. And yeah, and it was kind of liberating to be in that situation. And also no skin shown.
Yeah, it's like maybe thighs with the skirt dress, but
not really even. Like the skirt was definitely like right above the knee. And like, I felt very covered. So it was funny to see how people reacted. Very like, oh my God, that was such a scandalous scene. And I was like, but I didn't show anything.
I know, compared to what we have seen on the show, it's like, that was nothing. But that's what power that visual had. And absolutely, I agree 100% that it came across as her taking charge of, I want this, and power and sexual, because why not enjoy it, And it didn't seem like she was being taken advantage. It was like,
Yeah.
But you guys got cut off early.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh my God, let's continue. And like sex is such a big thing in war, like that's like women and men both use that as power play. I mean, Anthony and Cleopatra, the whole thing is about sex and power, so nice. Yeah.
So do we think your character is continuing on this realm of maturing, as it were, or what? Can we?
Well, you'll have to find out.
Yeah, just keep watching. Okay.
But yeah, I think she's definitely like learning and like, trying out interacting with people, still figuring out Mr. World as well, and
I'm
that
curious
dynamic.
on how their relationship will continue to develop, because I think she's knows more than what she lets on, or at least she's a quick learner.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's as much as I can say. Yes. So actually, speaking of sexy time more, which we were getting to, we get Bridget's dance for Sweeney, which was fun and exciting. They have their little interaction, but notices things have changed for him, that he totally is digging Laura. Totally is saying that.
100%.
But he doesn't want to admit it, which is funny.
I mean, what man ever wants to admit feelings? Ever.
Words, communication.
Yeah.
Explain.
Just talk about it.
And Laura gets her sexy time, gets her potion, but kind of lies about it at the end because she puts it in a pocket and is not giving the coin back. She's no longer power playing, I think. For sure. Let us know your comments on what you think her goal is there. And I like how, like, this shot, how they filmed this sex scene is just so beautiful. And also, not a sex scene, but visually I really liked in this episode is the dwarf scene with the shadows. It's just visually stunning. When you're filming, how much of a sense do you get what the final product is? Or how surprised are you when you get to see what the final visual turns out to be?
I think we get a sense. I think we do because, like, I mean, the set is beautiful, you know, and everybody, the crew, I think the crew knows what they're doing 100%. It's just, you know, every time I see, like, playbacks or anything, I'm like, you know, this show is just so beautiful. So I think the actors kind of have a sense. Yeah.
I think that'd be such the exciting turnaround of seeing once everything's completed. Do you guys have viewing parties, or did you have a viewing party for the premiere or anything like that?
I had to miss the premiere because it was my opening for my play. So
congrats
I was
on
in
the
your
opening of that.
Thank you.
But then do you guys are texting each other after or something?
Yeah.
Nice.
I kind of watched a couple of episodes with Bruce.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I watch screeners, and then I live tweet while it comes out.
Yay.
And we all talk about it. Yeah.
So fun. So let's also one of the other short storylines. We'll get back into them. Some the other couple we all love, Samir and the Jinn. Right? They're the cutest little couple.
Just so cute.
And they're a little bit rocky right now, ish.
But they'll work it out.
Yes. Okay, there's a couple things with their interactions. One, I kind of was annoyed that Wednesday was a little bit homophobic, I would say, because he was, or at least he was teasing that I was, it's like, dude, come on. He's like, oh, I'm looking for two guys on their way to Sodom. I'm like, oh, come on. And then also you guys in the back getting busy. It's just like, dude, unless, I think he just enjoys teasing people, for sure.
I think it's really that. I think it's such a older person thing to do, you know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily like, it's not homophobia, but it's like, oh, you know, it's different from how people react these days. Like, we can't say that stuff, and we don't want to, you know? But,
it's okay because it's an old man.
Right. It's kind of like...
Not that makes it better.
Right.
But you kind of laugh it off more. But they don't take it too personally, and he is just poking to get a reaction, pretty much. But their discussion with Samir and the Jinn of religion and how much do you still believe after all you've seen was fascinating. And I love that this show is bringing that up because if you got to literally meet gods, how much would that change your general whole belief system? Because it's like, here's this real thing. Like, I don't believe in unicorns and fairies. And then if you got to see them and touch them and be like, oh, wait, you're real.
Yeah. I mean, I love what the show, I mean, it kind of like, you know, watching the show and also like reading the book.
Sorry, Salim.
No,
it's Salim.
Oh.
I was calling him Samir.
Oh.
But I think, is it Salim? Yeah.
Salim.
Thank you.
No, it's just interesting to see, like when I was watching the show and reading the book, I was like, that's right. God is just a belief, you know? And that's something that I guess it's so obvious, but I don't stop to think about, you know, because when I think God or, you know, I just think religion, you know, but it's really whatever people believe that's the power that gives one thing to, you know, worshipers or, you know, so I kind of also dig what Salim says. Like, he's like, you know, it's just whatever I believe. I have a special relationship. And if he believes in it, then that's what he believes, you know?
Exactly. And if you are truly comfortable in your faith, you should be able to ask these questions or talk with people about it because you're good in your thing, which he is. But I do like they keep staying with the Jinn, even though the Jinn's almost insulting him of like, oh, really? You still believe? And like,
I know.
It's like, but you're my boy. He's like, I'm going to stay with my boo. There we go. That's what it is. And then also with Wednesday and him literally in the middle of them, of these two beings that are not human and just like the belief and not. Oh, the show. So let us know your thoughts on that. Yes. And then they go to see Ibis, which we mentioned, the dwarf who forged Mjolnir, which was really cool in mythology. And I thought, I'm curious what he'll do with that, and I like how they're trying to win him over, which is so fun of like fluff up that ego of like, you're just so good at this. Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm not one of the best. I am the best.
Yeah.
So you get somebody to do something for you. Just be like, oh, you're so great at this.
So good at it.
Yeah.
Please do it for me.
Totally that tone of voice
Yeah.
as well. Be like, come on,
Please.
please. But we'll see where they go because they get their motorcycle back, which is more than just the motorcycle, which was kind of fun. If they mentioned, they're like, no, it's more mythology, essentially, like Betty, the car, which is great too. I was like, that's with them. Next bit, we have these two kind of blend together. We have Shadow and Ibis and some kind of ghost story, if you will. Kind of. Did you take and I'm putting you on the spot because we were talking about the character when they get that, when he's seen the dream, and did you feel if it was more like a ghost or just like an echo? But that could be a ghost too.
Yeah, I thought it was more like a reenactment, not a reenactment, but he was basically like reliving, he was living. But I didn't necessarily think of it as a ghost or anything. I was just like, oh my god, he's living his experience. You know,
I thought that was
haunting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's not. I wouldn't say he's exactly a ghost, but it's one of those almost something else that we don't really have a label for.
Spirit.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, because he has the memento mori, remember, you have to die, which is okay. But Shadow might be more than we think. So I don't know if he would die a normal death. But that's a whole other thing, which we haven't had that revealed yet. So we can't say just yet. Though, Ibis. Oh, Ibis. Sorry. That was Ibis, not Ibis. Ibis. I'm watching with my subtitles when I'm watching it, too. And... oh, the other side note, we have Wednesday plants Yggdrasil, which is our world tree, which is growing, which is maybe that little bean sprout we got from the last episode, but I don't know exactly what that would mean of what it would do. But I'm curious, because it grows very fast. It was just a little leaf bud, and then by the end of the episode, it's a nice little bonsai tree size.
The power of P.
Yes.
The power of
Godly P.
Yeah.
Yes, that. Jamar Goodchild. Oh, because we get the body of Jamar Goodchild, who is the grandchild of Leela Goodchild, which was kind of a nice...
and Ruby Goodchild's brother, yeah.
And that gentleman we were mentioning earlier, Will Froggy James, which is interesting nickname, Froggy, but... that whole storytelling, I felt, was very powerful and intense because we get this black man lynched and how he essentially, as Ibis says, curses his own people and why. And it's like they answer that, but Shadow, in the end, I don't think has the full answer of why. Because that character, even himself, doesn't get into... I mean, he says he worships death, and he wants to release those with no hope to a life of peace. But I don't necessarily think that's the better answer. Essentially, like, die, because then you don't struggle, but... I like that Shadow still has hope because he has that inner light. Shadow can't get rid of that because what his mother gave him, essentially, of like, you are light, right? All the things. Yeah.
So many feelings.
So much to unpack, and we'll have to talk about it again next week. I'm like, I feel I could say some of that, but as we were talking before, too, of not being of African-American descent or African-American. We had that whole last episode, too. It's a whole other viewing experience. A lot of people
100%.
commented on last week's episode for Anansi's speech of how powerful that was to them. Please leave comments down below of how much all these interactions, because we have so much of these scenes too with Bilquis, Ibis, Anansi, and Shadow all in the same room together, but not necessarily all having the same discussion this time. So I'm curious on what more will unfold. Yeah,
it's you know, it's interesting, you know, because everybody, especially like being an African American, will probably be a very different experience listening to that speech than a white woman or an Asian woman, Asian man, you know, or a Hispanic man, you know, it's a very different experience. There are certain things that I definitely relate to, and I'm like, oh, I hear that, but also I haven't lived that experience, so I don't get you know, certain things that I probably just went over my head, you know.
I'm curious. Sorry to cut you off
No,
there. I'm
please.
curious if the show will get into also of worshiping a god that's not necessarily what you look like, essentially. Because Anansi with Ibis says, essentially, you're killing my worshipers in the town of Cairo, and they're talking about that. But there are some people, you know, that maybe could worship a god of another country. They find a connection to them.
Yeah.
I'm really curious if the show or book get into that and explore it, because I feel that's a whole nother realm, because we have all the Jesuses too. So curious, because we also had that with Anubis, Jacko earlier, the woman who was like, this is what my grandmother taught me, but they were a Muslim family now, so I touch upon it a little bit, but anyway, your thoughts too. Someone did a emoji for the leaf to the tree. Nice. Okay. I also, the moments too that were great with Ruby Goodchild talking with the Reverend and Bilquis about like faith and struggling. Oh, I do love that too. And, you know, Ruby is questioning that. And the Reverend later kind of breaks down, is like, you know what? If you find a place where we're not suffering, tell me where that is and I will go there. And I think he gets his own reflection of, you know, you're right. I lied to you. And because she questions, like, I pray and nothing good happened. Because plenty of people even today could say that, if you could pray, but natural disasters happen or horrible things happen. So that really makes one question faith. But here they can reach out and touch the gods and talk to them, but they might not know. Though Bilquis, I like her. Yes, it's a sort of love, and looks over at Ruby. I'm like, oh, will there be more here? Because I'm curious. Now, you've met Yetide and talked with her.
Yeah, I love Yetide.
Do you guys have any, well, you haven't had scenes yet, but what's it like off screen and hanging out with some of the other gods?
She's amazing. I love her. I mean, I love everybody in our cast, but I love Yetide. Like, Yetide is like, she's so amazing because she is really very, uplifting. Like, she's very conscious, and she's, you know, she teaches me a lot. Like, and I love that, not because she's like trying to teach me, but because of the way she thinks and navigates, and like how she communicates with people is very, like, she's just so smart, you know? So it's like, I just love being around her. And she's also fun.
Nice.
And she's very empowering.
Her character's very composed.
Yeah. You know, she is composed, but she's also like fun and like, you know, and she's very empowering. Like, that's the thing that I really admire about Yetide. When I spend a lot of time with her, I just feel very empowered. And yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say. Speaking of fun behind the scenes, are there any jokesters, prank people on set, anything like that?
I mean, I know that like Ricky does that a lot to people, and Musa's like really fun. You know, Musa, like they both have a very fun dynamic, but mostly it's me and Bruce and Crispin, and I think just three of us being together itself is a fun dynamic because we're so different.
Do you have it then ever when you're on set, you're like, okay, focus, serious, or is there giggle fest, or both?
So Bruce doesn't really, I mean, Crispin, I don't try to, you know, because Crispin is so amazing. I'm just like, you know, I feel like, you know, he has his process. Yeah. But Bruce sometimes, like, you know, Bruce and I start laughing and we have to like start shooting. Like, I think a scene where Crispin from last episode where he had to like poke Tech Boy's eyes out.
Yeah.
Or
Mr. World.
Yeah, Mr. World. Before that scene, Bruce and I don't know, we were talking about something stupid and we just started laughing. And then we had to go in the scene and we did it. And I think that's why we can do it, because we don't, you know. Yeah. But it's definitely a lot of fun. Yeah.
Has there ever been something that didn't go? I always like to ask questions. Was there any happy accidents? Like something that didn't go as planned, but in the end turned out better than you expected? Like either an acting choice or a technical error while filming, or scene went a different direction, but everybody goes, oh, that turned out better.
Well, I don't know if I'm giving this away. Okay. Yeah, there's like a small thing. I mean, it's in the promos where I dance. Okay. You know, so I think you saw it from the next week's episode where I dance a little bit. And I think it was originally DJing.
Okay.
Like my character was supposed to DJ, and I remember reading it and I was like, oh, I should learn how to like DJ and like, because I try to do the acting, and do my research. But then I was like, oh, like what I'm really into is K-pop. And that's something I can bring to the table, unique to, me. And it's a very, very new media. Like BTS is like everywhere. I was in New York.
Newer phenomenon, essentially.
Yeah, it's just such a new phenomenon. And not only as a Korean, but all my American friends like know about it, which is so amazing. And, I'm very awestruck by it. But so I used to like try to prepare to be a K-pop, a group. So I was like, oh, I can dance. And they were like, oh. So that's kind of how that whole thing happened.
Did you get to pick the song or at least have these are my suggestions?
Yeah,
nice.
definitely.
That's
I was
good.
like, these are the songs that I can dance to and learn the dance from, so.
Oh, so you learned it like from the, nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm looking
really
forward to that. I'm like, yeah, we'll be like, there's the scene. Now, speaking of that too, when you're doing the scenes, how much are you as actors allowed to play? Or I would assume the scripts have had so much thought process put into them, but are they give you any wiggle room for improv?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. I think I don't know because so many of my scenes are mostly with Bruce and Crispin.
Yeah.
I don't know how the other scenes were filmed, but for us, we would do the script take and do the words, or we can, but then they would be like, oh, if you want to improv, or if the actor has a different idea, and we'll try it out.
Nice.
Yeah, and they definitely give us wiggle room for that. I think
that's exciting.
Yeah.
And then that shows a lot of trust on their end that they believe in you as actors too, which I would hope. But
especially the actors from first season, like they know their characters in and out. I mean, sometimes we talk in the trailer, and every single person have talked about their characters, and I was just like, I'm always so amazed how much they know about, even after reading the book. I'm like, where did you get all these information? And it's amazing.
So the other very important question.
Yes.
I know you're a new god, but are you team old gods or team new gods?
Don't put me on the spot.
You're like both.
I mean, I'm team new god.
Yes.
But when I was reading the book, I was like, I'm team old god. But now that I'm joined the show, I'm team new god.
Well, there you go. You've played on both sides. And you're like, I respect and like both of them.
Yeah.
Well, it's such an interesting portrayal of gods. Like the old ones have the history, but the new ones are just almost more relatable because they're things that we know today and we understand them. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
And almost unlimited potential because we don't know what they could do exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of what they could do and then coming in new, what was it like stepping into the role of Gillian Anderson did season 1 as media and now your new media? Did you feel any pressure ahead of time, or were you given the kind of liberty because it's new media? Because you weren't exactly like, they weren't saying, oh, it's the exact same thing.
Right.
The character has evolved.
Right. Yeah, it was, for me, I mean, there's definitely pressure even if it's not the same character, you know that, Gillian is such an amazing actress. And like, I've watched the show before I even knew I was going to join the show. I was like, oh my gosh, she's just amazing. So definitely there's pressure, but it was also very clear to me that it was a very different character. And also, even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to recreate what she did because we're very different people. I'm a Asian woman, Korean woman in her, 20s. So I think it automatically brings a different energy no matter what. So it was liberating because, a lot, the creators were very, very generous on being like, this is yours and you can do, you should bring you into it. And this is a completely new character. Like, so it was so nice. And so it was pressured, but also it was very liberating and fun and, exciting.
Oh, I can imagine. Actually, something I just thought of randomly too, when we literally get to see your character originally, first off, and quick thing of how has your wardrobe been and have you liked the look of your character? Would you dress that way on your own anyways? Because it's very fun outfits that like, yes, they're average clothing, but above and beyond.
I love them. would I dress like that in real life? I mean, I'm wearing a hoodie with a beanie, you know, this is with the hoop earrings, you know, so I'm like all about comfort. But I do love my wardrobe, you know, I love... I mean, I love that. It's very inspired by Gwen Stefani, like, you know, Lady Gaga, very pop culture, you know, which happens to be like also Harajuku, like, because Gwen Stefani gets a lot of her inspiration. But originally what we were thinking were more pop culture. And so, and I think I look good in a, you know, schoolgirl outfit because that's what I used to dress in Korea.
Nice.
So I love the outfit, but I also love the outfit we had in episode 4, which was like a flannel dress and like a gold, like it's very like shiny, like she's shiny, you know, and fun.
I feel it's a good word. Yeah, definitely shiny.
Yeah, shiny.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us about the show. And I know we're going, you know, unpacking this complex and show that has so much depth. But you bring so much light to it, which is very fun. And I'm so excited to see what your character does. And it's like, ooh, I want to know what new media's, how much she steps into her own and takes charge. Or maybe takes over. Haha. We'll see.
Yes.
Girl, I can't really say. Why don't you let people know where they can find you online and continue the discussion?
Yes. At Kahyun Kim 257.
Nice. Yay!
Instagram and Twitter.
Wonderful. My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. I know there's a lot in this episode to unpack and talk about. Please leave your comments down below. Let's keep the discussion going. And make sure you give video a thumbs up. And on iTunes, you know, give it that 5 stars because 1 through 4 just don't work. And we'll continue the discussion next week.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.